everybody knows what the expectations are. Valeria, what's my first expectation? You're muted, sweetie.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Listen and follow directions.
Thank you. Shayra, number 2.
Actively listen and participate in the lesson.
Good. Kevin, 3rd. Kevin, I want you to read the 3rd expectation, please. It's time to wake up. You're muted, sir. There you go.
Practice effective and efficient. Is it that one that I'm reading?
Yep, that one. You're on it. Go ahead.
Collaborations, no sidebar conversation.
Thank you. No sidebar. And Logan, hit me with number 5, please. You don't even know where we are right now, do you? Jesse, hit me with number 5, please.
Okay. Show at all times.
Thank you very much. Very easy when you're on the correct slide, right? All right, so let's look at our lesson expectations. Let's go ahead and look at our lesson expectations. Here we go. Well, we did let expectations. My bad. What I mean is our objectives. Let's go ahead and have... Karen, can you read us our first objective, our primary objective for this morning, please?
Understand that words may have more layers of meaning beyond their literal meaning, and analyze context to determine a word's figurative,
connotative. Yep. Very good. Yes. So what we need to understand is that words have more than one meaning, right? They have deeper layers. How many of you guys have seen Shrek before? You guys have seen the movie Shrek? What does Shrek compare himself to? What kind of vegetable does he compare himself to? Do you guys remember? An onion. That's right. And why does he say, "I'm like an onion"?
Because he has layers.
He has layers, right? And just like Shrek and just like onions, words have layers, right? And the things that we say have multiple meanings. So boys, let me give you a little bit of some life advice here. So those, my boys in my class, I want you listening right now. Everybody listen up. Did you, oh, you're good. You're good, Krishma. So boys, listen up. At some point in your life, you will be probably sitting on your couch watching football or baseball or television with your girlfriend, your significant other, whomever, maybe your wife one day. And your significant other is going to turn to you and she's going to ask you, "Are you hungry?" And at this point, you may not be hungry, but on some level, you're going to need to understand that she's not really asking if you're hungry, is she? What is she really trying to tell you?
Hey, so I want some food.
Thank you, Julian. That's exactly what she's saying. She's saying, "Hey, I'm hungry. Let's go get some food," right? But she's asking it to you to see if you're hungry, right? And just like this conversation, we speak in kind of euphemisms. We ask rhetorical questions. Sometimes the things we say, they carry double meanings, right? If your significant other is tired of you not understanding that when she asks if you're hungry, that she really means that she's hungry, and she says, "I don't think this is really going to work out." What is she really saying? Is she talking about the food? Is she talking about the football game? What is she really saying if she says, "I don't think this is really going to work out"? What do you guys think?
Let's break up.
Let's break up? Well, what does that mean? Break up. Because break up, if I have like a Lego car and I throw it at the floor, the Lego car is going to break up. What are you talking about by break up?
Break up by as in relationship over.
As in the relationship is over. And so notice that the words that you even used right there, Julian, the words break up, right? They have literal meanings, meaning to disintegrate or break apart into smaller pieces, right? But then it also carries the connotation, the connotative meaning, right? That it implies a relationship that is dissolving, right? Exactly. So this is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. We need to understand, and now we're on slide number 9, okay? We need to understand that we already know how to read informational text, and we know how to read literary texts. We do it every day in this class for the most part, right? And we know how to find central idea in both, right? We call it theme when we're reading literature, right? When we look for the deep underlying meaning of a novel or a play or a set of poems, right? And if we're reading informational texts like science texts, we know that we're looking for central idea in order to find the author's intended purpose or meaning. The problem with that is that we have to be able to understand the intended meaning of words that these authors use. In order to be successful as we hunt for central idea and theme, we have to understand the author's intended meaning by analyzing his or her word choices. And we know that words often carry positive or negative feelings, okay? Much in the same way that magnets carry positive and negative charges. And much like how Shrek has multiple layers, words have multiple layers as well. And so what we need to understand here is that we could be using words specifically to convey specific ideas, feelings, or intentions, right? So let's look at this picture here. Let's preview, and let's look at this picture here. And I want you to kind of, ooh, not that picture. That's my grade book. I want you to look at this picture right here. Okay, so everybody take a look at this picture. Study this picture, and I want you to look at the two speech bubbles, right? And I want you guys, somebody describe to me, not necessarily what they're saying just yet, but describe to me the scene. What is this picture depicting? What is going on in this picture? Somebody go ahead and explain what's happening in this picture.
They're at a band and people are listening like to a rock show or something.
Yep, okay, so there's a rock show going on, right? And what tells you that there's a rock show going on? How do we know that this is not some kind of ballet or some kind of, I guess a ballet or an opera? What's going on here?
The reason why it's a rock show is because, like, one of them's playing the drums, the other is playing guitar, one is singing, the other one's playing a guitar, and the person on the drum has really spiky hair.
Right, so these are all typically things that we associate with rock and roll music, right? Spiky hair, drum set, guitar, bass player, we've got a lead singer, right? Genesis says, yeah, we can see the band on stage. And then Natalie brings our attention to something. Natalie says that we see two different opinions going on at the same time. Interesting. Well, what is the first opinion that's going on here, and how do you know? So everyone is having fun listening to the music except for one girl, says Valeria. Valeria, how do you know the one girl is not enjoying it?
Because you said this music is ear splitting.
This music is ear splitting. What does that mean? Ear splitting.
It means that it's hurting her ears.
Ah.
So like, this doesn't want to listen to it.
That's exactly right. It means that it's hurting her ears and she doesn't want to listen to it. Now, I want you to analyze this word, ear splitting. And let's kind of pull it apart here. Let's stretch it out. Everybody point to your ear. Show me that you know what an ear is. Yeah, okay. Exactly. Now, what does it mean to split something?
To cut in half.
To cut in half or to cut into pieces, right? If I'm splitting firewood, I'm taking an axe and chopping it into smaller pieces, right? If I'm splitting a pizza with my best friend, I am slicing it into individual pieces that we can then share. Let's see what the chat says here. But is that literally what's happening to this girl's ears? Is the sound cutting her ears in half? Ah. Say that again, Krishma.
It's figurative.
It's figurative, exactly. And when we talk about the different meanings in words, we typically, there are more than these, but in this class, we concern ourselves with 4 different kinds of meaning. Okay, and we're going to go over what those 4 kinds of meaning are. What about this kid here? What does he think about the music? What word does he use? Intense. And so I want you guys to think about this word intense. What kind of feelings, good or bad, do we associate with the word intense? Or can it be either? Is it a neutral word? Does it carry a neutral kind of charge? I want you guys to think about this. Get your ideas, and I want you to think about some things that can be intense. Can you feel, let's say, okay, Gabriella says both. Valeria says good. Okay, so it can be either. What about this? Let me ask you this. Can you feel an intense amount of love for someone? Can you feel an intense sense of love for another individual? Okay, good. Can you experience intense pain when you are in pain? Let's say that, like the time I ran my finger through a meat slicer when I worked at Jersey Mike's in college. Yeah, the pain was intense. For hours and hours, it was very intense, right? And then it was even more intense the next day when it was throbbing out of control. So, wait a second. A word like intense can be both good and bad. Interesting. But not the word ear splitting, right? Ear splitting is resoundingly negative, right? I think we can all agree. Okay. So are there then words that carry positive connotations? There are words that then carry negative connotations, and words that kind of fall in this little ether in between, the gray area in between. And that's what we're going to get into today. Is we're going to talk first about this idea. Okay, so this is what we need to know. Writers use different words in different ways depending on their purpose, right? So depending on what my purpose is, it's going to affect what words I use while I'm writing. Okay, the words that these authors select may be different from their literal, their connotative, their denotative, or what we would call their technical meaning, right? Or we may select specific words, right? And sometimes we have to use context clues to figure out what these words mean as we read. So let's go ahead. We already went through the picture. Let's take a look here. This year we've used unravel, and we've used it a lot, right? And so what is that second unravel, A? What does the second A in unravel stand for again? I see it in the chat. Yes, thank you. The second A in unravel has to do with unfamiliar vocabulary words, right? Now, it may be all well and fine for me to tell you, hey, guys, use Google to define this word. But if you don't know that a word carries 5 or 6 different definitions or has 3 different layers of meaning, how do you know to select the right one? And how do you know that you're using the word correctly? Okay, that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to kind of demystify and unlock this idea so that when you guys go hunting for vocab words, you know you're choosing the correct definition, you're using the correct definition in the correct context. So, first piece of academic vocabulary that you need to understand, and I want you guys all paying attention here. I want you to write this down on the sheet of paper that I asked you to get out in front of you. Denotative meaning. Words carry denotative meaning, okay? And this is the first layer. So if we were looking at an onion, this would be the top layer. This would be the skin on the outside of the onion, right? The denotative meaning of a word simply refers to the precise and literal definition of the word, okay? So for example, the word hot has its own denotative meaning. If I use the word hot in a sentence, like the skillet was hot to the touch, we all know that what I mean is that literally the skillet has a high degree of heat or a high temperature to it, right? That is the literal meaning. Okay? Now, here's a quick cheat to remember this. Maybe you want to write this down. Maybe you want to write this down as your cheat. If you're having a hard time remembering the word denotative, just remember that it starts with a D, just like dictionary starts with D. And we can think of denotative meaning as the dictionary definition, okay? That's the easiest, simplest way for us to kind of discuss what denotation actually means. And you'll, as you get into 7th, 8th, and high school and beyond, you guys will dig much deeper into this idea of denotative meaning. This is kind of the simplistic view of it. So remember, denotative meaning has to do with the precise and literal definition. And if you're having a hard time remembering that, just remember denotative, dictionary. Oh, it's the definition. That's what denotative means. Okay? So take a second to update your notes. Really the only thing you need there is that denotative meaning refers to the precise and literal meaning of a word. If you want to write the example of hot down, you can. You don't need to. You can also write down the hint. Remember, denotative starts with D, just like dictionary. You can add those things. Take about 30 seconds to get your notes up to date, please. And then we're going to move on to the next example. Yes, Karen and Shara, thank you for letting me know what the second A in unravel stood for. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, I see everybody's still writing. I'll give you another few seconds to get caught up. I'll know you're ready to move on when I see that you've clicked the thumbs up button in the participation module, and then we can go on. So look, Desire's ready to go. Gabriella is ready to go. Thank you, ladies. Genesis is ready to go. Karen's good. Very good. Almost there. Just waiting on a few people. And you have access to these slides as well. So the reason I'm having you write these down is so that you internalize them. Remember that you are 70% more likely to remember something if you write it down, right? It carves a neural pathway in your brain and associates the movement of your hand with the idea that you're trying to remember, okay? So that's why I have you write these down, even though you have access to the slides. All right, looks like we're almost there. Waiting on Jesse. Jesse, are you ready to go? Okay, waiting on Logan. Logan, are you ready to go? All right. Looks like we're pretty much there. Kevin, are you ready to go? I don't want to move too fast for you. You good to go? Okay, thank you, sir. Excellent. You guys can go ahead and lower your thumbs then on the participation module. Now, here's the second kind of meaning that we concern ourselves with. And I'm going to exit out of here. Jesse, you got your hand up. What's up, brother?
No, last one that maybe my head when I was trying to ask my so I just made sure it worked.
Oh, yeah, it works. Okay, good. Okay, so the second piece of academic vocabulary that I want you to add to your notes, and the second kind of meaning that words take on in our classroom, are connotative meanings. So class, I want everyone to unmute right now. Class.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. I want you to repeat after me. Okay? Are we ready?
Okay.
Okay, let's practice. Class.
Yes.
You got it. It's okay. Connotative meaning.
Connotative meaning.
Connotative meaning.
Connotative meaning.
The feelings attached to a word.
Feelings
Attached to a word.
Okay, one more time. Connotative meaning.
Connotative meaning.
The feelings attached to the word. Good. Okay, so you guys can go ahead and mute yourselves now. So listen, connotative meaning, when we talk about connotative meaning, we're taking off that top layer of the onion, right? And we're going a little bit deeper. And this refers to the wide array of positive and negative associations that words carry. And words carry these naturally, right? And this is decidedly different than denotative meaning, or the precise or literal definitions of words. Okay? So in other words, connotation or connotative meaning refers to the feelings or sentiments that we attach to words. So let's consider that word hot again, and consider whether it carries a positive or negative or maybe neutral feeling. Let me ask you this. If we use the word, let's say that I work for a record company. Oh, you mean to put that back up there? Go ahead. 1 second, guys. I'll make that big for you again. Let's say I work for a record company, and I'm going to go scout out a new band, just like the band we saw in the club picture that we saw. And I call my bosses, the executives, let's just say at Epitaph Records, okay? And I say, hey, we're going to want to sign this band to our label. They're hot. What does that mean? Is that a positive appraisal of their performance? A negative appraisal of their performance? What do we think? Positive. So in this case, what does the word hot mean?
Negative.
No, I think we had it correct the first time. It is positive in this case. So what would I be saying if I said, hey, we're going to want to get this band in the studio. They're hot right now. What does that mean?
Good.
It means they're good. Okay. Let's be more specific. Good is like a kindergarten word. Let's be specific. What does it mean? Go ahead, Shayra. You had your hand up.
That they're famous.
Well, yeah, it means that they draw a large crowd and that they're popular, right? It means that they can draw a large crowd. They're hot right now. We're going to want to get them in the studio. People will come to see them. We're going to want to be the ones selling their records, right? Okay, good. Now, we also know that the word hot carries a bunch of other different connotations, right? Or connotative meanings. It can mean attractive, right? Right? It can mean a whole list of other things. But what if I said this? I escorted 2 6th grade students to the office. I caught them. They were about to fight. I was able to stop them, but they're both still a little bit hot under the collar, and so we need to kind of separate them into different rooms. What about hot in that case? Is it positive or negative?
Negative.
And what does it mean in that case? If you're still hot, what does that mean?
You're still mad.
You're still angry, right? So what would we say about the word hot? Can it be positive? Can it be negative?
It's neutral.
It is neutral, therefore, right? It is a neutral word. It can be used in either case. And there are words that are just straight up neutral, like the word chair, right? The word chair doesn't carry positive or negative. It is a truly neutral word. But a word like hot also exists in this neutral territory, and we can kind of reuse it as we see fit, right? We can use it for our purposes. So remember, connotative meaning has to do with the feelings that we attach to a word, okay? And these feelings could be positive, they could be negative, or they could be somewhere in between, and we can use the word for our own purposes, right? Okay, so that's the second kind of meaning. So we have denotative meaning, which is the dictionary, literal definition. We've peeled back that layer, and now we're getting into connotative meaning, meaning the actual feelings. And now let's peel back the onion one more time, and let's go into the next kind of meaning. And I'll come back to these slides for you guys at the end of the lesson if I need to. Now we're getting into figurative meaning, okay? And as Karen, or who was it earlier that said, who was it that used the word figurative? I think it was Krishma. Krishma, you used the word figurative earlier, right? And what do we mean when we say figurative, Krishma? When I say figurative, what am I really saying?
You could say it's raining cats and dogs, but it's actually the meaning it's raining really hard.
Okay, good. So I don't know if you all heard that, but the example that Krishma just gave, she gave an idiom, and an idiom is a kind of metaphor, right? And what she said was, it's raining cats and dogs, right? And we know, does the sky really precipitate falling canines and felines? Have you ever been hit on the head with a falling Great Dane? Have you ever been knocked over the head with a falling tabby cat? No, the answer is no, right? We know it doesn't literally rain cats and dogs. We know that this is a figure of speech, meaning it's raining hard and the raindrops are large, right? This is a figure of speech, or what we call an idiom. Now, we use figures of speech all the time. How many of you guys have typed when your friends text you something funny, like super funny, right? And you want them to know how funny it is, you respond with the coffin emoji, the one that just says, I'm dead. How many of you guys have said this before, where you've laughed so hard you say, I'm dying of laughter? How many of you guys have heard that term before? I'm dead, or I'm dying of laughter. Yeah. Now, if we were being literal, your friend would be reading this on the other end of the phone going, oh my God, I'm killing Karen. I need to stop making her laugh. No more funny texts to Karen. I'm going to kill her, right? Or, oh my God, Jesse's going to die. Every time I text him, he tells me he's dying. Okay, are we being literal? No, we're being figurative. What you want your friend to understand is that you thought the joke was funny, right? But when we just say, that was funny, that doesn't convey a sense of laughter, does it? And in fact, your friend may go, oh my God, Jesse didn't think my joke was funny. He said it was funny, but he didn't mean it was funny, right? So when we talk about figurative meaning, we're talking about words that depart from the denotative meaning of a word. So we are now disattaching, right, the actual literal meaning of a word. We're pulling it off. And instead, we're using things like metaphor and simile and exaggeration or hyperbole to convey our actual meaning, right? So we could think of a line like this. The sun smiled down at me as I crossed the quads towards my Romeo, right? Well, does the sun smile? No, not unless you're playing a Zelda game, right? And if the sun, all of a sudden, if we looked up in the sky and the sun opened up a big, wide, toothy grin and began to smile, we would know that we were in big trouble, right? That would mean something very frightening was happening. Either you were in the middle of a hallucination or something worse was happening, right? So, what do I mean when I say the sun smiled at me? What can we say about the weather that day? Is it blazing hot that day, or is it comfortably warm? What do you guys think? Comfortably warm, right? If somebody smiles at you, it conveys an attitude of friendliness, right? So, look at this line from one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs, okay? The sun's not yellow, it's chicken. What could he possibly mean by that? The sun's not yellow, it's chicken. Now, the first time you hear this line, and the song's called Tombstone Blues, if you guys want to listen to it. There's no swearing, so I don't feel bad suggesting it to you. The song's called Tombstone Blues. What might he mean when he talks about the association of the word yellow and the word chicken? You guys may be too young to know this, but if I walked up and said, Jesse, let's go fight, and Jesse said, no, and I said, what are you, yellow? What am I really saying? I'm calling him a coward, right? I'm saying you're a coward. Now, could I also say, Jesse, what are you, chicken? You don't want to fight? Does that also mean that you're a coward? Yeah, it means that you're afraid, right? But what color is the sun literally? Yellow, right? And so this is Bob Dylan being he's being silly. He's taking the color yellow and he's exploring the different meanings to it. He's exploring, yes, it literally, denotatively means the color yellow, but it can also mean that you're a coward or that you're a chicken. So if you're calling the sun yellow, you're saying that it's a chicken or that it's a coward, right? And so these are different ways that people play with words, okay? And here's our final type of meaning. This is what we call technical meaning. And I want you guys to write this down, technical meaning, okay? This is our fourth layer, and this is when we get down into the core of the onion. That little piece that almost looks like a seed almost, right? It's like that hard ball in the middle that kind of separates into two little pieces, that part that nobody really eats. Technical meaning has to do with a particular subject, maybe an art form or a craft, okay? And it is associated with an area of study or a field or a body of work. And let me explain what I mean by that. So let's look at this picture of one of my favorite guitar players, Jimmy Page, okay? Now, the greatest guitar player of all time, right? We might debate this, depending on who you're talking to. Some people will say it's Jimi Hendrix, right? Some may say that it's Eddie Van Halen. Some may say that it's Jimmy Page, right? We could go round and round and round. But Jimmy Page's fretwork produces what we would call some tasty licks. Now, I used a bunch of different words in that sentence that are all technical words that are only familiar to people who play guitar or study music, okay? When I say the word fret, I want you guys to write this word fret down. I want you to write this down and use this as an example, okay? Let me exit out of the full screen so I can show you what I mean. Now, I'm going to go ahead and explore the word fret. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and define it. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to this. The word fret can mean, and this is the literal definition, this is the denotative meaning. It can mean to be in a constant state of worriness, right? Or anxiety. It means to be constantly worried. So if I said, hey, listen, I don't want you to fret about your math grade, I'm saying don't worry, right? That's the denotative meaning. But the technical meaning means something else. The technical meaning, and let's get down here, each of a sequence of bars or ridges on the fingerboard of a stringed instrument. Oh, now this is what we would call the technical meaning, okay? So the denotative meaning of the word fret, or one of the denotative meanings, is that it means to worry. If I say, Alex, I don't want you to worry about your math grade, we've still got plenty of time to get it up, okay? That would be the denotative meaning, the dictionary definition, right? But if I'm talking about the frets on a guitar or the frets on a mandolin, I'm talking about these little things here on the neck of the guitar that separate each interval on the guitar, right? Okay, so do we see now? The technical meaning is different from these other ones because it has to do with a special study. It can have to do with medical understanding. It can have to do with an art term. It can have to do with a specific industry or field of study. And so I'm going to ask you guys to take a second to try this on your own before we launch into the actual exercise that we're going to need to get done. Okay. Now, I want you guys right now, you are going to select this word here. See where it says think, pair, share down here at the bottom, TPS? Okay. I want you to take your cursor, and I want you to select the word foul. Foul, not F-O-W-L. And if you can't select it, I want you to go ahead. So it applies to a certain thing. Yes, Karen, exactly. Technical meaning has to do with when we apply the meaning to a specific aspect of the word that relates to either a field of study or an art form, something along these lines, okay? So I want you guys to go ahead and define the word foul, okay? And I want you guys to write down as many different meanings for the word foul that you can think of. And I don't mean the bird fowl, okay? That's F-O-W-L. The word foul, I want you to think, okay, first of all, what's the denotative meaning? Meaning, what would be the dictionary definition of the word foul? What would be the connotative feelings that we attach with the word foul? Is it positive? Is it negative? Okay. Think about the word foul in a figurative sense. Okay. Can you use it in a metaphor to describe something? And then I want you to think of technical meaning of the word foul. Is there maybe an association in a sport with the word foul? Does foul mean something different in soccer than it means denotatively, or in basketball, or in football, right? Okay, so I want you to be thinking about these, or in baseball even. Okay, so be thinking about these. Write down as many ideas as you can. It's 8:35. We have about 10 minutes left in class. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this, because then I want to look at an example where we fill out a chart on a piece of paper. You'll do it manually on paper, and then I will take your suggestions and add it to our notes. That way we can reflect back on it later if you need to study these before a quiz, okay? Okay, so about 1.5 minutes. Go ahead. Okay, about 1 more minute. I'm going to put up a whiteboard for us so that we can circle map the word foul, okay? Just so that we can get an idea or a sense of what everybody's contributions are here. So I'm going to make a quick circle map. We're going to put the word foul right in the middle. And again, we're not talking about birds, okay? That's F-O-W-L. All right, let me check the chat. Okay, good. It's okay. So look, Julian says, he gave us this example. Julian says this. Julian says, his jersey was full of sweat and smelled foul. What does that mean to smell foul then, Julian? What would foul mean in that case?
Like the smell is overwhelmingly, it smells disgusting.
Yeah, overwhelmingly unpleasant, right? Or disgusting. Very good. Okay, let's see. Krishma said something. And Krishma found the technical definition. Krishma, very well done. She's saying in sports, a foul is what we would call an invalid stroke, okay, or play. It also has to do with hurting another player or opponent. So a foul can be when we in baseball, if you hit the baseball out of bounds, it is called a foul ball, right? If you are playing soccer, Karen, what could you do to commit a foul in soccer? What is one way?
Hurt somebody?
Yeah, you could hurt somebody, right? You can get a foul for sliding into somebody with your cleats up. Now, Karen also gave us the denotative meaning here, okay? No, Krishma, you don't have to complete this map. You're going to do something similar in just a second, okay? Now, Karen said it can also mean wicked or immoral. And in fact, The word foul is used to describe like devils and demonic entities in old, what we would call Christian apologetics texts, right? If we think of the word foul, it has to do with like the deepest, darkest regions of the inferno, right? Foul can mean wicked in spirit or in temperament, right? It can mean a whole bunch of things. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's talk about the connotative meaning or the connotation. The word foul, does it carry a positive or a negative connotation?
Negative.
It is overwhelmingly negative, right? Exactly. Because whether we're talking about its technical meaning in sports, meaning to hurt someone or to break the rules, or whether we're talking about being like overwhelmingly unpleasant or disgusting, or if we're talking about your character, your wicked and immoral heart, right? All of these different contexts are negative. So well done. You guys are understanding this. It looks like you guys get this. So let's take a look at an example together. And I want you guys to help me fill this one out. We're going to look at the word sick. The word sick. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this chart to define the word sick denotatively, meaning what's its definition, like what's its textbook definition or its dictionary definition. Let's go ahead and look at its connotation. Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral? What are some of its uses figuratively? Can we use it in a metaphor or a hyperbole? And what is its technical meaning? Meaning, what kind of lines of work would we see this word sick used either in a job or somewhere else? Okay, so let's talk about this. And we're running out of time. We've got about 5 minutes left. So let's do this. Instead of putting you in breakout rooms like I had originally planned, and we'll do that next period for our vocab lesson, okay? Let's go ahead here. Genesis says, affected by physical or mental illness. And what do we think? Does that have a technical meaning to it? Meaning if you were a doctor and somebody came into your office and said, and you tried to explain to them, listen, we need to get you into treatment. You are sick. You are unwell. Could a doctor say that? Yeah, they could say that, right? So that's the technical meaning. So we could say relating to mental or physical infirmity. Okay? Meaning the technical word has to do with doctor or patient, right? We're talking about people who are not well, either mentally or physically. Okay? What about the word? Let's talk about its figurative uses. If I said that you are, how could I use this in a metaphor or a simile? He was as sick. Go ahead, Krishma. You go ahead. You get your hand up. Oh, you lost it? It's all right. Don't worry about it. Does anybody want to jump in? Anybody have a metaphor or a simile? How about this one? After telling an inappropriate joke at the funeral, I laughed and told him he was sick. What am I really saying? If somebody makes an inappropriate joke, and by the way, we've all heard inappropriate jokes, right? You know that joke that somebody makes and you can't help but laugh, right? And you say to the friend that made it, you go, you're sick. You're really sick. What am I really saying there? What is the use metaphorically or figuratively? What am I really saying?
That he is disturbing.
Yeah, I'm saying that he's got a sense of humor that is unusual, right? That it's a sense of humor that is maybe what we would call blue or unusual. Okay. Now let me ask you this: connotation-wise, is the word positive or negative, or is it neutral?
Mostly negative.
Mostly negative. I would say the same thing. Mostly negative. Okay. And what would be the denotative meaning here? What is the dictionary definition? What do we think?
Sick as in, like, you have a cold or
Okay.
you have a virus or something.
Yeah, so it is indicating that someone is not in peak physical health, right? So, physical. Now, what if I used it ironically? What if I went and saw a motocross show, or I don't know, a rock concert, and my friend asks, "Hey, how was the show?" And I say, "It was sick. It was sick." What am I doing there?
You're saying that it's cool.
That's right, Isaac. So what I'm really doing there is I'm using it ironically, right? And that's figurative as well. We can put that in figurative. Ironically, it can be used to mean cool or awesome, right? If I said something was sick, I'm saying that it was cool or that it was awesome, right? Okay, so we have 1 minute left in class. Here's what you're going to do to show me that you understand the difference between denotative, connotative, figurative, and technical meanings. You're going to open up your Google form exit ticket. And there are 4 questions, multiple choice. If you were paying attention, this should go very quickly. Okay, this should not be difficult. Now you're going to want to finish this. We will review it very, very briefly next period. Okay, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a list of vocabulary words from chapters 1 and 2 in our new novel. Okay. We will explore the various meanings of those words and decide if they are positive or negative in connotation. We will try to find their denotative meanings. We will try to find their figurative and maybe technical meanings if they have them. And then what we will do is we will spend the last part of class reading chapters 1 and 2 in our new class novel, The Westing Game. Okay? Now, today, since we are focused on vocabulary, when you do your Read Plus, I want you doing vocabulary lessons. Okay? I will go ahead and post Next Gen here in a moment as well. Please do not forget that you have second period again today. I know you had it yesterday. We are on that weekly rotating schedule. You have second period, and you will be going to B Day today. Okay? Is everybody clear on what my expectations are?
Mr. Stockman.
Yes.
So we do the exit ticket right now?
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah, right this second. Alex, go ahead, buddy. You have your hand up.
Guys, say like this Mexican joke.
It depends. Or is there any inappropriate language in it?
No.
Okay, then go for it.
So it's this like Pepe joke.
Okay.
So Pepe asked the teacher, "Could I get in trouble for something I didn't do?" And then the teacher goes, "No, why?" And then he says, "Because I didn't do my homework."
That's like a Chinese finger trap, right? You put your teacher in a situation where you get her to answer first, or you get him to answer first, and then you drop the hammer on him, right? Very well done, Mr. Juarez. Good job. I like it. Reading Plus, I already finished all my vocab. Can I do reading? Yes. So if you have finished vocab, you need to do reading, okay? If you have finished vocab, that does not mean you have a get out of Read Plus pass. That means you need to move on to something else. Is everybody clear on that? Okay. I will see the rest of you guys at 1 o'clock. Please come ready to jump into our new class novel. Come ready to explore the various meanings of vocab in chapters 1 and 2. I'm excited about this novel. Every year that we read this novel, my classes have loved it. It is a fun novel. It has to do, like I said, it's kind of a murder mystery. There's some ghost stories in it. There's some really cool stuff that I think you guys are going to enjoy. Okay? I'll see you all in just a few short hours. Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Appreciate it. We'll talk.
Bye.